Hello everyone and welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This is a series where I get to talk a little bit about and touch base upon various mythological beasts, beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything, I do apologize in advance. And today I wanted to talk about the Hundun. And the Hundun, just like many different kind of mythological entities, because it has been believed in and talked about and written about for generations upon generations and years upon years. There is a wide variety of alternative spellings and pronunciations, but today I'm just going to kind of use predominantly the Hundun as the name for this concept creature. And the Hundun is two things. It embodies two different kind of things simultaneously, one of which is a legendary faceless creature from Chinese mythology, as well as like the concept in physical form of the primordial and central chaos that stems from Chinese cosmogony, which I actually had to learn this word, but cosmogony, which is creation myths. And so the Hundun, coming from this concept of what we consider as the Greek word chaos, this kind of chaotic entity, the embodiment of chaos in living form. It's also described as this kind of nebulous state of which the universe existed prior to the splitting between heaven and earth. So, wow. So that is depicted in this one creature, even though the creature itself represents not only this physical entity, but this greater concept, which is something to wrap your head around. Now, it has been noted in a variety of texts over, again, centuries. It's only mentioned a couple times, or the word actually, Hun, which is kind of one of the words that stems from, is only mentioned a couple times in the Confucius text, but it's later on talked a lot more about and referred to in Taoist texts. And I'll actually get to a story that is a Taoist-based story about the Hundun in just a moment. But again, it's this kind of classical philosophical concept depicted in a physical form, the idea of chaos in the flesh. And visually, it's usually described as, again, this faceless being. More often than not, it's depicted with wings, typically a set of 4. Its legs often vary between 4 and 6. But beyond that, it can change depending on, again, the text and the writer and the era and the belief system. But the Hundun, once I point out a couple examples of modern media that has referred to it, maybe you have seen examples of it before. But being a faceless creature, it lacks eyes, nose, mouth, all, essentially most of the things that give you the senses. It's also depicted in, it's also referred to as one of the 4 fiends, or kind of, again, these evil entities from Confucius text. And again, not mentioned a lot, but it is associated with these kind of 4 big bad ideas, because chaos is usually not thought of in a positive way. Now, in Taoist text, there is a particular parable that I thought was charming that I read about. And in this particular parable, there were 2 emperors. There's Emperor Shu and Emperor Hu, I think. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but they would meet in this kind of territory in between their lands. And this territory was where the Hundun, or in this case, it was the Hundun, existed. And every time they met, they were always greeted with great hospitality and generosity, and they appreciated this so much that both the emperors decided they wanted to give the Hundun something in return. So they decided to try to give it a face. And they decided to create 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and a mouth for this creature. And again, a way of honoring and thanking it for this, the amount of generosity and prosperity and everything they received from utilizing its territory as a place to meet. Now, each day, for 7 days, they would bore a hole. And again, they would start, let's say, with the 2 ears, and then the 2 nostrils, and the 2 eyes. Well, on the 7th day, when they were boring the hole for potentially the mouth, but the seventh item, the 7th gift to finally finish the face of the Hundun, unfortunately, the Hundun died. And the concept of the parable is that you should never force order for chaos. It doesn't end well. You can't just force order in chaos. So I thought that was very interesting thought and philosophy of chaos, and you can't control chaos in any way. Now, outside of these kind of original text, and again, this greater concept of the Hundun is chaos in physical form, you may, depending on what you've seen, one of the Marvel movies that came out in a number of recent years was the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. In that one, you see the Hundun, and in that case, it's depicted a little bit more on the positive side than the traditional kind of creature of chaos, evil, kind of darker things. And then I also noticed, because I've been watching the new anime show Lazarus, they also talk about the Hundun in a number of episodes too. So it's a concept creature that is cropping up a little bit more in modern day era than it has in the past, and I thought it was very fascinating, and so I wanted to kind of share it with you. Now, if you have any questions about this or anything else, please post them in the comments below, or join me on any of my other social media. And until next time, everyone, Skål.